Alrighty then, gentlemen.
Yeah, boy.
Yeah, you said you can fall asleep, man.
Nah.
Alright, just checking.
Every week.
Yeah.
Every week, y'all creaking more and more.
But I don't understand.
Jeez.
Y'all because old man,
Goodness,
man.
man.
My man, they're like, your voice beginning to creak even there as well, man. I don't understand what's going on. But anyhow. Welcome everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Living Room. I'm Andre, my good friends Philip and Mark. As usual, on Sundays we just get together and have a good old Caribbean conversation about whatever it is that we feel like. And we got an interesting one that we're gonna have today. If this is your first time, you're probably watching on the global platform, most likely either on Facebook or on YouTube. Just hit like and ring the bell so you can get notifications. Hit share to bring in your friends and network, everybody, and we can just have a good old Caribbean conversation. So let's get straight to it. How are we doing, guys?
Doing good. Feeling good. Right. Yeah, man.
You sure you're feeling good? Because you didn't sound like you're feeling good there just now. Hey, Sharon.
I'm just getting in the groove, man.
Okay.
You know how it is.
Okay. Yeah, you changed position, man.
I might be into position now, man.
Oh, we into position.
Winter.
Okay.
We move away from the window or something?
Yeah. I don't want the window behind me in the window.
Don't want that draft. You don't want that draft coming through.
Oh.
So I just changed round. I changed round last.
From last week. You'd have changed wrong, innit? Oh, okay.
As soon as the clocks go back, I
change with the clocks.
Change with the clocks.
He's got to do anything to change your mood, right?
Anything.
Yeah,
These little things just help.
You got your November flag in the back as well.
Where yours is? Where your flag is, man? Because this is the rundown now. So
my flag, I got to put it in this shot actually because it's in a different place in the house. But it's true, I can put it in. Don't worry, I can get it in.
I see one of my friends on Facebook. They call Rene Mings. I don't know if he's watch us, but he put on Facebook, man, this Republic thing like a conky without raisins.
Right.
You get the conky, but it just in the same.
Thanks, Cheryl. I feel it a lot better. Feeling good. Thanks.
You get the conky, but it just got something in right.
Something missing.
Something missing. And you kind of know what it is, but you ain't want to say.
You don't want to say it. Because you know you're
going to
want
to find who cooked them, right? Exactly.
These conkies ain't gone to raisins.
Hey, Carolyn. You ain't want to. But hey, they're trying to build a bit of excitement around the whole thing. As I hear one commentator said, it's kind of soulless. I don't know if people feeling that way.
That's a bit heavy.
Well, they say got no soul. It happening. It happening. But what should be a bit more,
process,
joyous,
process without the passion
and felt. That's the thing. Is not happening. Although I can see lots of attempts being made over the next couple of days.
Well, you never know. They might give you a call and ask you to lead something.
To host something.
Week. Yeah, man.
For Barbados, I do it.
I know.
I might see wrong thing.
But they can give you a good briefing. Don't worry.
It might be the first and the last. Or you get one. When you show them at the Apollo and the men ain't doing good, you see the hook come on and just hook you off the stage. I might get the hook. I might get the hook to just you come off.
You've said enough.
Yeah. But that's sorry, all good. I might get that, but it's good. But look, it happening. There ain't nothing to stop this thing now.
Hey, Avril.
Hey, Avril, how you doing?
I would eat conkies without raisins for a year, but next year, bring them back. Put my raisins back in.
Hey.
No, put your raisins back in.
Yeah, man.
I with you there. But we'll see how it goes. Interesting to see how the Brits reacting now as things get closer and closer now as well.
Yeah. When you say the Brits, you don't mean every British. You mean
the Brits. Let me just put royal. And the reason being, if they ain't talking about we them is put royal we in there too. So for the time being, royal we. When I say interesting to see how the Brits behave.
All right, Mr. Red Passport.
Yes. Hey, don't you grudge me?
Phil, you sloppy swallow.
But wait though. So you don't got one?
I don't have a red passport.
You don't intend to?
I have a.
See?
When I got mine,
you don't want to catch him in a lie now. Don't want to catch him in a lie.
No. When I got mine, the passports had already changed to blue.
Oh, so you got blue passport? That's your excuse. But so
You're
that
beating the soul with it. Like, hey.
so that mean you more British than me, cause mine European. Mine you just said
Bullshit,
that I was an
bullshit.
international man. You
That is
gone
why-
straight back home.
That's where you
Yes.
challenge
Yes,
when
sir.
you say the
You got,
Brits. I
you
said,
got one of them
you mean some of the
post-Brexit
Brits.
ones, Phil. You got a post-Brexit passport.
post-Brexit
The
Post-Brexit
colonialist
passport, yeah.
passport. He got the colonialist passport. He got the passport of the colonizers.
Aye, aye,
Mine is European. Mine is more
Okay, a
international
bit
in
more
nature. Just
open.
saying. Yeah. For a few more years at least. For a few more years at least. But obviously, I think Carla, they're saying that, yeah, it ain't feeling like November.
She ain't feeling
I-
it. She ain't feeling it.
But it's true. I don't understand it. Usually in November, all across the social medias, forgive me, trainees and stuff. I know a lot of people in, but we some Bajan, so we can talk a little Bajan here. So, but usually November is turning into blue, yellow, blue,
Blue and yellow.
blue, yellow, blue. That's how it's turning. Everything all across social media, you just see it. Early conkeys, the spooge, the music, this, that, next, the third, and the fourth. I don't understand. This is supposed to be the most, not supposed, this will be the most significant November in Barbados' history since pre-colonial days. And it just, you ain't feeling it.
Even my wife, who is being, she blue and yellow from the time November set in, man. I don't even think she wearing that yet. Philip.
Man, you normally got that, little map of Barbados and lights.
Light
and
up.
thing.
Yeah.
Well, I ain't see that annual picture yet gone.
Ain't got a lights on it. Ain't feeling it, man.
So you're feeling it, even the bulbs blow?
Bulbs blow.
Shoot, man.
Come on, we
Even
got
the
lit.
bulbs blow. Look,
got
Pet
lift
got her
this up.
flag. Hey, Pet. Huh?
Oh yes, yeah, that's good. That helped me. That helped.
Even the bulbs blow. Look at
Ah,
that.
yeah.
Look
It's
at
true.
that. Look at that, man. Look, but I don't know. That said, it can still be a significant November.
Yeah. Maybe we just got to dig deeper.
Maybe we gotta get some Bajans together to really celebrate this thing properly, man.
Or
I
at
think
least
we
have a
got-
chat about it. We should do that next week.
Yeah,
We
I
can
think
put
so.
that together.
Yeah. I think so, man. That
Eating a
song is
conky
gonna be.
without conkies.
Don't keep it up.
What?
I know what that is.
Bajans
Oh.
terrible, man.
You
So
know,
what's been going on this week, man?
Well, I just been here. I've been in the office a few times and that kind of stuff with work, but trying not to venture out too much. This thing in Europe, like it going mad, and I only
Now, look.
expect that it can happen here in UK too.
You see,
so
the Netherlands and Austria, they're now battling with some lockdowns, yeah. So these
The,
things is
the news I also saw, it's the highest level of COVID amongst younger children ever in
Yeah.
the UK.
ain't looking great.
So
But
some
I think-
variant is out.
Yeah, but I think like we said the other day, a few weeks ago, it's not a matter of if but when.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's gonna happen, right? So you can always see a number of cases. The hope is that the linkages between deaths and hospitalization is broken. That cases would just
the
be
vaccine.
cases, but either vaccine or natural immunity over time or what have you doesn't
Yeah.
impact people in the severity isn't there as it was before. So let's hope so. I saw Austria tap back on because initially they were gonna do the whole locking down of
Yeah.
the unvaccinated.
Unvaccinated. Yeah.
But they tap back on that one, which I think is kind of right. You might say unfortunate that they had to do that to think about locking down the guys who are not vaccinated. But I could see why that would just cause some issues, man. That you don't want that kind of
Yeah.
separation going on. Otherwise,
Yeah.
it would just cause some issues in society to tell you the truth.
Well, I think it's probably going to be inevitable because I see a lot of them now looking to march towards some kind of legislation of by this point everybody needs to be vaccinated or else. So I think they're just kicking it down the road to the spring, but we'll wait and see.
Yeah, I suppose you just gotta wait and see what's gonna happen. But yeah, weird. Y'all book your booster shot yet?
Yeah. Well, I forget the old people get sent their letters already.
Man, no, man. It don't in 40s, no. Once in the 40s, you get your stuff. So don't worry yourself.
So you
First 18-year-old death in Trinidad and Male
I didn't
Child.
know
Oh,
that.
wow.
I saw that,
Wow.
bro.
I
Yeah.
heard it.
Wow, that's sad.
Man, you go and get your booster, man. I gotta go and get mine now. Cause I see some places. I see the US is now terming fully vaccinated as 3 vaccines now. In some cases, and I
Yeah.
think that's coming here now too, where
That's
they can
gonna
say
happen.
fully vaccinated is going to be 3. So you're gonna have to get that booster. 28 deaths yesterday in
Yeah.
TNT.
Crazy.
Yeah, saw that, bro.
Yeah, I'm gonna get mine, man. I just didn't book it yet. But this
Yeah, I got
winter and
mine.
this flu that coming in playing. So yeah,
I ain't doing a flu jab.
line
You do
mine
a
up.
flu jab?
I don't do flu jabs. My wife is doing them, but I don't do flu jabs.
I've never had one either.
I never had a flu jab.
But one of
yet,
my
to be
friends, a
honest with
doctor, did advise me to get one this year.
you. Why?
He
Because
said
you
it's
had
just
COVID?
no before actually a week before I had COVID.
Oh,
I was
okay.
chatting with him, and he asked me, "You had your flu jab?" I said, "No, I've never had a flu jab." He said, "Get your flu jab."
Hey,
He
Valerie.
said, "You had your boosters yet?" I said, "Nope." He said, "Get your booster."
No, you know we're coming.
Yeah. So he just advised it, but he said if your body is busy with the flu, right, if you catch COVID on top of that, you got a problem,
True. I
right?
can
So
see
that's
that.
just the
Right.
issue. So
Immune system already gone
yeah.
and dealing with something else. So I can see that. So I got to book
Yeah,
mine
man.
too. I now see that come on the NHS app properly now too. So I will book mine. 3 shots for oh, okay. Johnson and Johnson as well. Oh, okay.
Wow,
But Johnson and Johnson, that wasn't the one shot.
that's supposed to be a single jab.
Oh, I
I
thought
think,
that
if I
was
remember
was
correctly.
that
Somebody
the
will
one that
tell
was
me
a
in the
single
chat,
shot?
man.
Yeah, somebody would tell. I thought that was the one that you
Yeah.
get one, but no. But they say that that's the one that kind of performing the worst over time. I think I was reading that.
Look at
Yeah,
Valerie.
Michael.
Look at Valerie.
Valerie.
Look at
Conkeys.
Valerie.
Valerie.
Valerie in the spirit, man.
Now we going. Now we moving.
The question is though, did you want raisins or no raisins? Well, I ain't even
Valerie
asking about that
definitely.
question.
Valerie
Valerie is
definitely
we, so we
packed
know
with
raisins
fruit.
in there. So I ain't even
Packed with
asking
fruit.
that question. I ain't even asking that question.
No, there's no point. There's no point going there. To be honest.
Yeah. So we'll see what's going on over the next few weeks with this whole vaccine thing. I get my man. I go and line up and get my 3rd jab, and hopefully that carry me through for quite
Keep
some
yourself
time.
quiet. Yeah.
I only hope that now come next year, March, April, they're telling you about 4th jab now, and this can become a thing where you need a jab every 3 months or so.
Well, the efficacy isn't like 6 months or something.
Oh,
like
she's
that.
asking. She said she was asking. No, I think is for Johnson & Johnson, I think that's what I thought. That's a single shot. So you might need to get a booster on that, not 3 for that. But if you're using one of the double shot ones, I believe it's 3 vaccines. It's 3 shots that you need. From what I was reading. Okay, that explained it because I thought you were saying Johnson & Johnson, but I think you still need a booster, but not 3 shots for that.
Yeah, man.
From what I was saying.
Hey, Miriam.
Hey, Miriam. Yeah, so it'd be interesting to see what's going on. I'll let y'all know when I get my little
Yeah,
jab.
man. You must.
You know I don't
lead
like
the
them
charge.
things. But
You go. We'll watch. We'll watch.
You
and
go
see.
watch. You know I don't like them things too, but anyhow, I'll go and get my jab, man. Hey, Junior.
Hey, Junior. Good to see you. Yeah, man. All right then. So
Yeah, we hearing that.
yeah.
Yeah, but what y'all get to? Wait till I think. Wait, so what going on? What going on for that?
Not a lot, man. We're doing both raisins. Okay.
Raisins.
That's
Don't
very
cater to the
diplomatic.
without raisins, people.
Are you
Valerie,
okay
don't
with that?
cater to
That's
them.
diplomatic.
Make them
Give
pick
some
it
people
out.
conkeys. Give some people dumplings. It's fine.
Exactly.
It's fine.
Right. So she making conkeys and dumplings.
Dumplings at the side.
Okay. I get it. I understand that. But if you're making conkeys, don't cater for them people that don't eat raisins. Make them
I don't
pick
know
it
where that
out.
come from. I don't know where that come from all of a
don't
sudden.
know, man.
If you don't
Cornmeal
eat
dumplings
raisins,
is
just pick
good
them
though.
out.
I like
Huh?
a cornmeal dumpling. I love a cornmeal dumpling. Yeah, but in terms of getting up, yeah, just working as usual. Something interesting I've been reading at work, but also a bit off, is this whole development with the
Hey,
metaverse.
Rustin.
That's something I think we need to watch. And I was just reading it lightly until I saw that news that Barbados is the first sovereign nation with an embassy in the metaverse. And
So
that
that mean
made me
what?
up.
Me and Monty can go in a meeting and Boris Johnson can turn up, dress up as a dinosaur. What happened?
So I am reading.
So you know who you're talking to?
But what is always interesting for me is to find out, okay, who's made these decisions? Who are the people behind the scenes who's hosting the embassy? Right? Those are the interesting questions for me. So I'm doing a bit of reading.
Read on it.
Come
I'll-
back and give you
I'll give you a report.
yeah. So
Yeah,
But
I
the
saw
main
it.
company is called Decentraland, which is interesting.
They're selling quote unquote plots of land within the metaverse. I saw that.
Yeah,
At certain
using
prices
crypto.
and that kind of using cryptocurrency. It'll be interesting to see. The funny thing about it is that I I didn't see any statement. Well, I could be wrong. Somebody will gotta tell me. I just didn't see it. I didn't see anything coming out from Barbados saying, "What's the point?"
This is what we're doing, or was the point of wait? Was the advantage of this? Was the
What's the
value?
point? Okay, use the first, feel good. Yay, pat on the back. Because it did get a lot of international news coverage. I saw it all over Yahoo. I saw it all over MSNBC and different places talking about this thing. And I think it got traction, obviously, because it come a couple weeks after my boy changed Facebook to Meta. So, but I still haven't heard any. Okay, so what does this mean?
Yeah.
What it was the
So yeah, we need to explore it.
There's a so what?
there's a so what in there.
Yes.
As I say, I don't know. Everybody turn up in the metaverse of an embassy meeting, dress up as well.
I'll say a little
Lord of
bit
the
more
Rings
after
characters or
I
something.
get to the bottom of it. But as far as I could see, there's a so what for somebody.
Okay. We
There's
come back
always
to
a
that.
so what for
But
somebody.
we'll get to that.
There's always a so what for
Yeah, man.
somebody. This sound like somebody push an idea and get a hand and say, yeah, let's go
Well,
with that.
Got to
This
watch
sounds
the
so.
money.
But we'll see.
Watch the money.
You got, ooh. Wait, so you're doing some investigative journalism there? Is what you're
It's not
saying? for that?
investigative journalism. I just
just
what
reading
I
it
can
up.
find.
Hey,
But-
hey,
I'm doing it as an architectural analysis.
hey.
Yeah. All right
Okay.
then. He lost me there now. Let me watch the money and
Back
then
to
tell
the
me.
conkeys.
Yes, exactly.
what I do.
Exactly.
I'll say more when I have
You'll
it
see
ready.
more when you get some more
bring
information.
you bring that back when you got the detail, man.
No, I agree with that. That's
We
an
got other things
interesting
to
one.
talk about now.
Yeah,
Indeed,
man.
indeed.
Yeah,
And we
yeah,
can head
yeah.
over to Morocco. We have some West Indians over in Morocco studying and doing some stuff, and we just thought, hey, let's find out a little bit more about that. West Indians all over the place, right?
Of course. Yeah, man. And it's going to be interesting to see how I laughing because I think it's going to be an interesting conversation to see how we get on this evening with our names. Yeah, so
Yeah, West Indian people, man. We should be okay with that. You know where to find Morocco on your map?
of course.
Okay.
So let me try. So we have
Go ahead.
Livania from Antigua and Barbuda.
It's
And then we
Lavinia, by
have-
the way.
Oh shoot, I get it wrong already. It's Lavinia. Lavinia. Oof. Tiffany that we have in as well, and she'll be with us, and Lyric as well that we're gonna have from St. Lucia, both from St. Lucia. So we just bring them in and let's have this conversation.
We are more familiar with Sharon, Michelle, and Elizabeth, right?
Yeah, we got some pretty boring names in Barbados, so that's the thing. But anyway, welcome guys. How we doing?
Hey, how
Looking
you
good.
doing, guys?
Very good.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Excellent.
We're
We got a bit of
good.
a
Just
delay
because
there.
a
You doing
little
good?
mic issues.
Good
Oh, that's
good to
good.
see you all, man. Good to see you, and it's, welcome to the living room. It's great to have you. And Lavinia, how are you?
Yes. I'm fine, thank you.
Awesome. And you're from Antigua and Barbuda? Where exactly in
Yes,
Antigua are you
I'm-
from?
I'm from Boland's Village in Antigua.
I only know about
Yeah.
Holiday Hills. I think I went there some time ago, but I don't really know much other places.
I thought
right?
you meant. I thought
The
you
guy
meant
asked
all
the
about
question like
Antigua. Wow.
he has some understanding of Antiguan landscape.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Poland Village. Yes, I spent some time there.
Of course.
Exactly. He's like, he's north. Yeah, that's in the east. He has no
yeah,
clue
yeah,
where
yeah,
that
yeah.
is. But anyway,
That's where you're
Not
from.
that either the two of them know, you know, Lavinia. So, but I,
but that's why we keep
Being
him up
asked
shut.
question.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And we didn't answer it with such fervor like as you did. We just
I know a little bit, but I
You don't
I,
know. Okay,
yeah,
that's
yeah.
good.
Anyway, how are you, man? You keeping well? Doing well?
Yes, I'm doing good. I'm keeping very well, thank you.
Awesome. And we've got Lyric from St. Lucia. Oh dear.
Lyric
Lyric.
and Tiffany.
Lyric. Yeah, you're
Exactly.
saying it right. You're not mispronouncing it. It's lyric. Thank you for inviting
Okay.
discussion.
How are you both doing, guys?
A bit of a
Doing
delay.
fine.
We're
Okay.
good.
100%.
100%.
100%. Well,
Oh.
okay. Well, look, let's roll back then and try and understand how you guys ended up in Morocco to start with. Because I know us Caribbean people, we go all over the place and we get ourselves into all sorts of things. But ending up in North Africa and going there to study is huge challenge. So, Lavinia, tell us a little bit about your journey and how it got started for you.
Well, basically, I've been in Morocco since 2011, so I've been here for like
Oh
10
wow.
years now.
Oh,
Wow.
okay. Well,
10.
Um,
Okay.
yeah, it's 10 years. The time goes very fast, so you don't really feel the years going by. Yeah. But I've been here for 10 years. I came under the Antigua and Barbuda Prime Minister's scholarship. At the time, the scholarship was available to like individual countries before it became available to the OECS
Mm.
in total. So
Mm-hmm.
I've been here for that long.
okay.
So far so good. Like when I first came, I'm not really sure how I got here. All I know, I heard about Morocco.
Mhm.
All I know, I heard about Morocco. It's like Morocco.
What do you
It
mean by that?
sounds
You
nice.
you fell asleep on the plane? What do you mean?
Well, yes, I fell asleep on
Okay.
the plane.
And just wake up with it?
Yeah.
So what was the
What was this?
motivation for going in the first place?
Yeah.
I think the the biggest motivation for me was that it was like a different place altogether. It's like a
Mm-hmm.
new culture, new experience. Um, my parents were more encouraging me to go to nearby countries like the UK, the US, Barbados or Jamaica, UE. But I
Mm-hmm.
think I just wanted something different. So I wanted to spread my wings a bit. And
Mm.
after consulting a few individuals, I think one thing that really pushed me to come was when I spoke to one lady,
Mm-hmm.
and she just told me that there's a bigger world out there apart from the
Mm.
Caribbean and apart
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. That's
from
good.
the Americas and so forth. So it really
Yeah.
motivated me and really pushed me to really like just go, spread my wings, try something new. And I'm happy I did. I don't regret it whatsoever. So yeah.
Okay. And
Mm.
what
What
did
did you
you go to
study?
study?
Oh, well, it's a bit somehow, but I did my first degree, my bachelor's in life science. I specialized in biology and health. And then
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
after that, I went to do my master's in medical biotechnology.
Mm-hmm.
And after
Oh.
doing that master's, I spent 2 years volunteering. So I took some time off and just volunteered
Mm.
in an organization here. And then after that 2 years, I went back to school again to study another master's in financial engineering.
Oh
Wow.
wow. You really
Wow.
love
Yeah.
Morocco, man. You just
And
decide
that's
to.
in
Yeah,
Morocco.
I do. I
Do
think
you
it's
speak
because of the people I've met. So,
and do you speak
yeah.
Arabic as well? No?
No, I actually just started learning Arabic this year. I have a friend from South Sudan. She speaks
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Arabic, she writes Arabic, everything. So she just recently started teaching me. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm learning Arabic now.
Oh wow.
But then you speak French, I'm assuming as
Yeah,
well.
I speak French.
Mm. Okay.
Oh wow.
Wow.
That's good. So
Oui,
Tiffany,
parlez-vous français?
oh,
Oui.
Ah oui, je
that's the.
parle français.
Don't,
Oui.
don't
Un
start where
peu.
you can't finish, Philip. Because we know that's the extent. Your next thing is Je m'appelle Philippe. That's,
That's a good joke to me in
he,
Paris.
he started out, but we know that's the extent of
There's
where
not
she's
much more
going with
left.
that.
No, French is not my second language.
We know that's the extent.
Yeah.
But anyway, Lyric and Tiffany, tell us a little bit about your journey as well, of being home in St. Lucia and deciding to go to Morocco.
You can go ahead. Okay, so I'm here 1 year more than Tiffany, 3 years. I also not sure about how like I actually ended up making the decision. I just noticed the opportunity, and I've always been looking forward to avenue to kind of master another foreign language because that kind of makes you a little more marketable. My
Mm-hmm.
field of study right now is economics, so it would work in my favor that I was able to not only master the language but to complete my studies in a foreign country where I study in French. So I thought that would be cool, and just the in me, I figured out it was a good opportunity because otherwise, when would I have that chance to
Hmm.
to live in a foreign country like Morocco? So most people would think like America, the UK, those kinds of countries.
Mhm.
But like, who says, okay, I'm gonna go to study in Morocco? So like,
I know.
I just thought that it would be cool and like a good experience.
Mm.
Oh wow.
Awesome.
Has it
What about?
been? Has it been? Sorry, Tiffany. Let's hear you. Let's hear you.
Yeah, for me, it was kind of like a combination of like it was 2008, 2019. I had just left school and just kind of trying to go to school, like trying to further my education. So I was really just applying to a bunch of different things: China, Taiwan, Canada. Like
Oh
Wow.
wow.
I was just desperate to go to
Oh,
school. My best just like she had just gotten successfully the Morocco scholarship, and like she was telling me about it before, and I just didn't believe like Morocco, like that just seemed like so extreme, like it's
mm-hmm.
real. And then like she got there and like she was telling me about it, and I was like, all right, I'm going to apply next year, and then I applied and stuff, and I got through. So Lyric went before me. She was
Okay.
friends here,
Ah. So
Wow.
what are
And
you?
what are
and
you two
that's how I
studying?
end up
Yeah.
What
I'm studying
what are you two studying?
architecture.
And I study
Okay,
economics.
Oh wow.
Oh
Awesome.
wow.
architecture and economics.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, that's interesting subjects because it's a very different perspective, perhaps, from what you might have gotten if you went to the US or the UK
Mhm.
studying both those things,
Yeah,
the type of architecture as well as different economic
the area of
models as well.
Exactly.
economics.
Yeah, so it's probably very
Yeah.
different. And I guess the big thing, are you enjoying it? Are you, what's it like?
Actually, been making it quite fun for ourselves. I have to mention that we've established our little student organization. It's called the Organization of Eastern Caribbean Students.
Mhm.
Oh wow.
It's actually just 2 years old. I'm one of them. I'm currently the president of the organization, and
Oh wow.
we've been trying to is one of our nominees for, for president on
Ah.
our bureau. So it's been really cool. Like, we have to kind of bring the Caribbean
Of course.
wherever we go. We kind of Caribbean people have a way of kind of establishing themselves. So like, we have
Mm-hmm.
our little fundraising events, like a little fest, our little parties to kind of express our culture. So we've been able to really make it fun for ourselves. Also, like maybe Tiffany could tell you like what we've done to make the process a little easier and the transition a little easier for each new batch of students that come. So like the challenges
Mm-hmm.
that we had, and I can tell you it was pretty challenging. We did of obstacles. We try to kind of relieve that each year to kind of prepare our Caribbean students because it's a case where like we have a lot of national pride. I for one have a lot of pride in
Mhm.
And rightfully so.
We see your flag.
Yeah, I
And
forgot.
rightfully
Yeah.
we
so. We
want
see
it
the
to
Yeah.
be a
flag.
case where like all of our people here exactly all of people where every and everybody here like excels and like feels a part is integrated into that little community. So yeah, it's
Mm.
been good I could say.
Wonderful.
Oh,
No
that's
more
good.
than Lyric was saying, like 100%.
No, go ahead.
Continue. Yeah, I was saying 100%. Like if you just to give you the amount of Caribbean people in Morocco is like the number was kind of small, and even like that's why it sounded so extreme when my friend told me about it because like no one knows anything. So there's a scholarship, and like people have infrastructure of anything. So you just sent to a new country, and like there's
You
no
have to
rule
be
book.
very
You don't know anything.
independent,
Nothing's
yeah.
straightforward, and like you just kind of learn and like they did like a lot of work in terms of just setting up everything and like now like we kind of have a system of how things are done. We have like a
Mm-hmm.
guidebook where they made a student guide
Mm.
organization. Like it's
Wow.
like things are now much more easier, and like there are people to explain things. Because imagine coming in like no one knows anything, you just have to figure things out.
Yeah,
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, yeah.
Friends are not gonna help you. You just have to walk around trial and error. Like I'm sure Lavi had like more of a Lavi can say more about that than me because I came
Yeah,
there and
yeah.
everything was done for me already. But
What did
own
your parents think when you
biggest
said,
thing is out.
"Hey, we're gonna apply for a scholarship to go to Morocco," and then you finally got it, and you're off to Morocco? How did that go?
Well, I think for me, like
My mother was not
my mom
surprised.
tends to be the emotional type. So I think every maybe Wednesday in the week before I was going, she would just look at me and start crying, say, "Oh, my baby's
Oh wow.
leaving me,"
Oh, this
that
doesn't
kind
sound
of
good.
thing. Yeah, and I remember like the 2 weeks before I actually left, like she was just watching me, and like
Oh
every
my
minute she
God.
sees me, she would cry.
My son of
And then I think because back in the Caribbean we don't have much of um
A perception
I
of
don't know the
Morocco,
English word, much of um
a
uh,
perception or
like
understanding of Morocco.
perception, understanding, knowledge, sorry, of like Morocco in general and how the place really is. And the first thing that most of us hear is that, oh, it's an Arabic country. And when we think about Arabic countries, we think about maybe terrorists or bombings and these kind of things.
Sharia.
Yeah, the
That's
Sharia
it.
and all
Yeah,
these
that's what
kind
we're
of
thinking. Yeah.
things. So that type of like stereotype, and that's like what most of us had to go on, especially our parents. That's what they had to go on. So they were just very, 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 very fearful at some point. I think for me, I just didn't know what to expect. But I think for me, a part of me or most of me was like completely and utterly excited to experience this new
Wow.
thing. Like, okay, Islamic country, like, okay, awesome. Just experiencing how it is, how they live and their culture and so forth. So I think for parents, most times they really take it very hard, the fact that it's an Arabic country and so forth. And because it's so far from back home. It's like, okay, they're not close in case of anything. What do they do? They don't know who to call and these kind of things. So I think for parents is quite fearful, especially when you're sending your child because that's like your child. You spend years grooming
Yeah,
and
Of
and
course.
I'm
raising that
assuming
child,
that.
and you invested so much into them. So
Yeah, I'm assuming that none of the parents came with you initially, like hop on the plane and come with
yeah,
you.
none. No.
Have
Oh
they been
wow.
to visit? Has your parents been to visit in the 10 years you've been there?
No, they haven't. The furthest my mom has reached is like the UK, and I would tell her, "Oh, just come over," and she'd be like, "Okay," So I just feel, and I think she still has that sense of fear.
There's still a fear.
So yeah.
What about
Wow.
yourself, Lyric? How was that conversation with your parents and Tiffany?
With my mom, it was not exactly she had known me from before, and for lack of better words, she wasn't surprised at all. However, it was the same thing with her perception of like her child going. She wanted me to be as safe as possible. So when I tell you I was not prepared. I really wasn't prepared. When I landed in Morocco, I had nothing I could actually wear.
Oh dear.
Mother
Wow.
packed my
Wow.
bags with these long sleeve, long skirts kind of things because she figured that it's a Muslim country, so
It
I
was
need
it. So
to
you gotta.
Yeah.
even
Yeah.
give me she even gave me the scarves for like in some of the other countries like
Okay.
Saudi Arabia, I think you still have to in certain settings they would still have to
Right.
had to put on a
Interesting.
hijab
Caribbean,
here.
Caribbean
So
mother.
you could just
Caribbean mother
imagine
packing.
I
I
had
like that.
nothing. Exactly. So like just in that respect, and I for myself, I could have prepared a little better because I also had that perception that I was coming to the desert because Morocco is right next to the Saharan desert. So I
Yeah.
Yeah.
extremely hot, so I come with like more airy clothes and that kind of thing. However, when it's actually a kind of a funny story with because first come down on the same plane, on the same flight together. So imagine like 7 Caribbean students were coming down on the plane. And when we reached in France, it's like France was really cold on like end of October, November, right? So it's kind of chilly. And we're not used to that because back home it's sunny all the time. We don't know about these kind of winter seasons kind of thing. So
Yeah.
airplane in France, like we had all our coats and everything and our scarves and shivering whatever. But as soon as like the plane landed in Morocco, from in the plane we not our scarves and stuff saying it doesn't want for our year. We started taking out the scarves and things saying like, we arrived, we don't want to come out with all of these clothes on and we're gonna be hot. And then the air just hit all of us. It was really funny, like all of us were dying. So it's like just these little things that made the whole funny.
Wow.
And
So was it your
but
first
for
time?
the parents,
Was it your first time traveling away from home when you made this journey to Morocco for your studies?
for me personally, it wasn't my first because actually I had gone on my own as far as Fiji before to represent St. Lucia on. I was also president of the National Student Council. So that's why initially I said that my mom wasn't that I kind of like these kinds of stuff. Yeah, so it wasn't too bad. So she would always be worried, but she allows me to kind of find. She's very supportive.
Oh, that's great.
That's good.
That's cool. And what would you say, Tiffany, was one of the biggest cultural shocks or things that just was like, oh, this is different for you? Besides the 40 degrees.
Honestly, like I heard the prayer call. Like Azia, like my friend had told me about it before, but like hearing it in person, and the thing is like it's like the mosque is literally in the each zone, like every block or every 5 blocks there's a mosque, and like they had speaker at the top, and they're supposed to call them to pray like different times of the day. So like it's like always right in your area, no matter where you are, like loud, and like it's just like a loud calling, like I don't want to say, but like I just jump, and even in the night when you're sleeping and you hear that, you just feel like you're so like
unexpected.
And like I just took me a while to get used to it too. Yeah, that was one of the scariest things. It sounds kind of like I've been told that it's disrespectful. Yeah, they never say sing. They always say no, they're not singing. Like it, but it's disrespectful to say that they're singing. But that's kind of what it sounds like. It's like a song kind of tone. Yeah.
Anyway,
for me though, like I feel like it sounds during Ramadan, like they play it with cannons, and it sounds like there's little harmonies. So I guess you could take it two ways. Sometimes it could sound like you're in a bit of a horror movie and you're hearing like the ghost outside. Sometimes it can sound pretty cool. I mean, I'm well used to it. Like, I even like it. Track me, but honestly, like religion, like was the biggest shock to me, because coming from St. Lucia, like Muslim isn't really. Do we have Muslim? It's very.
I'm sure you do, but
yeah, it's not very like
not
common.
that dominant. Yeah.
Yeah, and here, like people are praying outside, like all over, especially on a Friday. Like you.
Yeah.
I was
Friday
shocked.
prayers,
Like everyone is just on the ground, like kneeling over. And like I was wondering what I should be there. Like, what do I do? Like, do I say good morning? Like, do I talk to that? So and like he was praying, and I just was so awkward. Like I just went back out. Like these were the things that were like a little weird to me, and like I just wasn't sure how to deal with it.
And how did you eventually sort of navigate those peculiar? What was peculiar to you? How do you navigate or learn about them? Just getting to know local people, doing some reading. Definitely. In my it's because of the young people. That's how I actually got educated on like Islam and stuff like that. Like when I go to school and like my friends were trying to take, because they themselves will always try to like ask you. They're very curious about us just as much as we're curious about them, or even more, I would say. And like they would always be on my back, like constantly teaching me things, and that's how I got to know about. And like it's normal to me now. As like any religion that's actually like. It's very like similar to Christianity in a lot of ways I didn't even know before. Okay, but yeah, basically the people.
That's interesting. And Lavinia, I would assume now that you are the veteran of the group, and a lot of these guys probably look to you now with your 10 years experience. How How has that cultural experience shifted for you? Because I would assume it was a shock initially. How has it shifted for you in your decade?
I think for me, I'm not surprised by a lot of things anymore.
Mm,
Like if something happens, I'm like, oh, that happened, okay. Or it will be like something that's normal. So I think just being here, like a lot of things have shifted. I'm not easily surprised by certain circumstances or certain situations that come.
Hmm.
Mm.
I think another thing that has really shifted for me was the fact that it has really helped me to be very adaptable in no matter what setting I find
That's good.
myself
Mm.
in.
mm,
Mm. Mm.
I think when I first came, one of the biggest shocks for me was like their Ramadan season.
Hmm.
And
Mm.
that's when everyone is fasting, shops aren't open, you can't eat on the street, you can't drink water on the street,
Yeah.
And I think for me, that was like a huge shock.
mhm,
And just experiencing the Ramadan for the first time and
Mm.
how the locals react to it and so forth. And I think another thing that has really shifted for me was like respect of other cultures
yeah.
of
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a good point.
and I think that's one of the biggest things for me. So a lot of things have shifted, but mostly in terms of respecting other cultures, adapting to
Mhm,
different things or different places I may find myself in. And also um another thing that has really shifted for me was is my communication with other people. It
oh
has
wow,
really
Mm.
taught me how to communicate with a broad span of people. You
that's
That's
have the
good.
awesome.
locals, and then you have people from sub-Sahara Africa here as well. And I tend to have a lot of like African friends,
Mhm,
so like adapting to different situations and different people and communicating with different people has been such a major thing for me that I've really learned as well.
wow.
I like that.
No,
So,
that's
quite
interesting.
often when we encounter different cultures, we like to sort of create a topology of difference. What are the things that are common? What are some of the things common that you're finding there that seems strangely familiar
Mm.
in Morocco?
With the locals or with anyone
Just
that
in
I
general,
find.
Yeah, just
culture in
generally with
general.
the
Yeah.
locals, with people from sub-Saharan Africa or other regions and so on that are gathered there.
hmm I think one thing that I've really realized, like, there's a lot of similarities, even though we're from different countries, different ethnic backgrounds. I realize
Mhm,
that there are a lot of similarities, especially in the food we eat.
ooh,
Like,
Mm.
not similarities like the Moroccans per se. I think the only similar thing we have with them
Tell
is
me
that they
more.
love fish, and I think as Caribbean people we like fish and they like
Yes.
seafood as well, and they're like, okay, we
Yes.
like the same thing too. Is nice, and
Yeah.
it's just nice that okay, they eat fish, I can eat fish too, I can eat seafood, all these kind of things.
Mm.
With other
You also
people
like
from
the seafood.
sub-Saharan Africa, yeah.
Mm.
Another thing with those from sub-Saharan Africa is that I realized that it's like there's no difference between us and them in terms of
mm,
like their food. Like we practically eat the same thing.
mhm,
Like
Interesting.
they have this some countries they have this thing called shima banku, and for us we call it fungi. I think for other countries they call it
Cocoa.
cocoa is with cornmeal.
mhm,
Cornmeal. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ah.
Okra.
So I realized that there are a lot of similarities in terms of like food, in terms of like stories. One thing I was really shocked by when I came here was the fact that they knew Anansi stories. I think I
ooh,
was talking to a friend one
All
time
right.
and I'm like, you're telling me too much Anansi stories. And the person's like, oh, you know Anansi stories? I'm like, yeah, we learned them in primary school and these kind of things. So it's like a lot of things that we learned. And even from my country, there's this game we have called Worry.
mhm,
Worry.
And
Yeah, we know worry.
apparently it's a Ghanaian game
mhm,
and
Mm.
It
it's a
is
game that the chiefs and the kings played. It's
strategy.
more for like war war tactics.
Yeah.
yes,
So
Yeah.
that
It's
is a
strategy.
game they
Yeah.
played in Ghana.
mhm,
So like all these other things, a lot of similarities and so forth.
Mm.
With the Moroccan people, one thing I've realized with them is that they're very patriotic. They're
Okay.
extremely patriotic. They love their country, and you won't find them saying anything bad about their country, which really surprises me. Even if they're unhappy about situations in their country, they will never talk bad about their country. And I like the fact that they're
Mm.
patriotic. It kind of reminds me of Caribbean people like we're quite patriotic as well, you know.
Hmm.
So these are some of the similarities that I found just being here for a few years.
And
That's
Lyric
great.
and Tiffany, do you find did they know about the about Saint Lucia? Did they know? Because that one of the things that when I was a student, even talking to some either African students or Indian students or what have you, you go Barbados, and they go, oh, and where's that? Then you always had to give the Jamaica reference. Jamaica.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah, the
or you
Jamaican.
start singing
This is
or you
going
start
French.
singing under my
This is
umbrella.
essentially the same thing.
Yeah.
That wasn't out there.
That was out there.
I don't even know that
So
song.
you just aged me.
Because
You just
way,
aged me.
way back.
You just tell
We're talking
her.
about the Neil Diamond for Heathrow. Anyhow,
Sorry, go ahead, Tiffany.
I was saying it's the same thing. You just tell them the same phrase. Do you know Jamaica? But you tell them in French and like it's what we're talking about, honestly. And then they'll Google St. Lucia real quick. And the first picture they get of the beach, you'll be like, oh wow, that's where you live. Why did you come here? Like, oh my god, you came here? Like why?
After 2 years, every single taxi has the same exact conversation.
Yeah, do you like you've been here for 100 years and like when they find out where you're from?
Do you get a sense though that even though they might not know exactly where, that they feel at all connected to the Caribbean at all in some form or fashion, or not really?
Nah,
I
not
wouldn't really say so. I
No,
wouldn't
okay.
because
Interesting.
when I haven't been able to pinpoint any specific
Similarities,
similarities
me neither.
with the Moroccan people and the Moroccan culture. It's quite different from
That's all right.
the way that the land
every
is.
single thing I would say was
Yeah, down to the food. Like even the food was something that we had to kind of adapt to when
Okay.
arriving here. So
In
So-
what way?
actually
Spices?
find
Yeah.
is something interesting I've observed. The spices can be different. Like there's this harira soup that's like really, really
Yeah.
something about the taste of it most of us cannot really adapt to. But the thing is after you eat the stuff like a couple times, for example, like couscous, the first time I tasted, but then now I would sit and actually crave
But
it.
that's lyrical. That's lyrical. Lyrical is
The she still
adventurous.
doesn't eat it.
Like I'm not adapted to anything. I would not adapt. Like Lyrical is making it sound really cool. Like she's it, but like you won't like I don't know. I don't eat any Moroccan food, and like I remember like my classmates, they always like on Fridays they have like couscous or like they would bring food.
They make eating like a social thing.
Yeah, so that's a huge thing, and everyone is dipping into and begging me. I just I'm like I'm sorry. But Lyrica's tried a lot of Moroccan food. She can probably like tell you about them, but eating rice and
You're not
beans.
you're not having it, Tavani.
Yeah, Tiffany not convinced yet. Tiffany not, cause she not convinced yet. But you gotta try it and experience it. You don't want to go home and say you didn't try these things, right? So you gotta
Yeah.
try it at least once.
And even try making it.
Yeah. So tell
feel
us
like-
about the cooking experience then. I want to hear about the
I feel
cooking
like I don't
experience a
know.
little bit.
It's like the pardon,
The cooking
cooking
experience. What have you been
experience.
cooking then?
as in how we cook, or well, from the time I came here, like the people we live with, like we just kind of like if you live with your roommate, you kind of like plan to cook together. Or I think everyone cooks. You shop together. We have to change some of our meal plan because like not everything's available, like pork and certain like space. Oh wait, we can't get green fish, can't get plantain, can't get none of the good stuff.
No
Can't get
And
plantain?
you get it in like African markets, but like it's expensive. Can't really get it. Like you get it, but like it's like not. It's hard to find. Like it's in the expensive, and it's like old pieces. It's
Nivanya
almost
look like
they,
she know the
they
spot.
went to Africa and
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
like
yeah,
in their
yeah,
countries,
yeah.
and they came back with it. She's there for about decades, so she's like, "Oh, I have that."
Nivanya look like she knows the spot. She's like, oh, let me tell you where to
where
get
need
this
to go,
stuff.
man.
Yeah, exactly. These youngers got to figure this thing out and figure out how to really find this stuff. No, that's interesting. Someone asked a question here, actually. No, go ahead. Go ahead, Larry.
I was saying that like everybody has also like discovered something new about themselves. For example, before I arrived, I could not cook. I didn't know how to cook.
Ooh.
We've had some people like become full blown bakers over here because we have our little transition of like baking a cake for everybody today kind of thing. So big up to
Good, good.
a baker and a real Daniel. There's some of the students that have like been able to some little skills so they're not school about
Mm.
for sure.
Another thing, like we kind of come here at home, like okay, I wasn't cooking. At home, I wasn't really like mopping, sweeping like that. Like things I was not doing in St. Lucia, like I come in, like I'm a full blown like hard, you know, planning meals, cooking and stuff like that, putting food away, like cleaning chicken, making seasoning. Like we just kind of like really easy to develop and
Grow up fast. You gotta grow up
and we
fast.
make every
Yeah.
effort to try and like remind ourselves of yeah, 100%, 100%. And we still do like dumpling and cocoa tea, like pochine koyo, like we to like cook our like do our Caribbean cuisine, like even
Mm.
despite being here, we still cook like what we would eat back home.
So,
And
so Lavinia, what's the share a little bit of experience of the food journey from your perspective? Because you must know where to get the plantains from, surely,
Of course. Of course.
and the wood cheap ones too.
yeah, we want the
Yeah,
cheap
that's
ones. We
plastic.
want good
Well,
quality.
I think for me now, my taste buds have
Oh,
so much.
Okay.
Yeah, and like I don't really like Caribbean food isn't the only food I eat now. I eat Moroccan food, I eat Zambian food, um, South Sudanese food, Ghanaian, Nigerian, like all these places. Like I've tasted their food and stuff like that, and I think in the beginning though it was quite difficult in terms of adapting to the food. I remember when we first came, we were craving, I think it was saltfish and lingfish, and we just couldn't find anything whatsoever to like that. So we end up getting tuna and cooking it like how we cook saltfish and lingfish,
Mm.
and it just didn't turn out the way we expected it to.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
think just being here over a period of time, I've gotten accustomed to the different foods and also like really blending like Caribbean food with African food or Moroccan food a bit, just blending it together to bring a flavor
Okay.
that is a bit different and at the same time a flavor that I
Oh.
can
you
manage and that I'm
You
accustomed
that's
gotta give
street
me an
to.
food.
example.
And
That's
I
that's
think
street food.
just
Yeah.
being here, I've learned like the cheap places. So now I'm all about the cheap places, like, pardon?
So tell me about one of these Moroccan Caribbean fusions that you cooking up.
Like, okay, for example, I tend to go to the local markets. When I say
Hmm.
local, I mean local.
Mhm.
Oh, okay. Well, they have this thing called couscous,
I love it.
and they
Yes.
also have Senegalese. They also make the same thing, but instead of couscous, they use millet. I don't know if you guys know millet.
Let's take
Yeah.
it
It's
Yeah.
off.
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
kind of like couscous.
Mm-hmm.
But
So,
thicker.
and
Okay.
then the Africans, they have this thing called jollof rice. It's kind of like Spanish rice
Oh
that
man,
we
love it,
eat.
Ooh.
love it.
And like what I tend to do is like if it's
Burn off
couscous,
your tongue
I
if you didn't
make
make it right
jollof
though.
couscous, and then with it I would put like flavors like Caribbean flavors like curry. Like I tend to cook with curry a lot when I find
Hmm.
it. So it's like just using these kind of things. They will have their tagines and these sorts of stuff. And we'll
Yeah.
try to add like some spices that we're accustomed to, like curry and all these kind of things. So it's
Mm.
like just adapting day to day, like learning new dishes and just adapting to them and so forth.
I
Nice.
feeling it though. I feeling it. I here for this. I like that. I like the fact that hey, let's not just stay in doing what I know, Caribbean
Mhm.
food. Let's do something
Yeah.
different. Especially some place like
Yeah.
Morocco, where I'm sure there's so many different ways of doing stuff, spices, different ways
Mhm.
of finding different flavors and that kind of stuff. Take advantage. Take advantage of it, man. I
Yeah.
think that's good. Someone had asked Zamir, I believe, had asked if you're getting by only speaking French or if you have to learn local dialects and stuff as well.
Um, I think it depends on the setting, really. Like officially, when you go to offices, when you go to schools, and you're dealing with administration, like administrative bodies, they speak more French. But then one thing that I found is that like if I'm taking the taxi, so I will greet them in Darija. Maybe I would try to speak a bit, but I'm not so good at speaking, but I can understand like one or two things, like the sense of things that they're saying. But I think the dialect is mostly used when you go to the markets, especially the local markets. That's like the local market.
Yeah,
It's
yeah, I
mostly
would
used
imagine.
there.
To get your plantain.
Um,
Mhm.
so like French is kind of like the main thing, but it's just that sometimes when you go to school, like sometimes the professor might be speaking in their dialect, which is Darija, and most of the students, because they go to public schools, they do more Arabic in the public schools than French.
Right.
So and because you go to school sometimes with a lot of public school students, most of the times they will have their struggles with French as well. So they just flip to their Darija. But you also have some people, and then I just find this that a lot of young Moroccans, they are opening up to English, to speaking English and learning. So when they find out like you're Anglophone, you're like someone who speaks English, they will try to speak with you a bit, you know, as much as fun as it may be, it can be a bit detrimental when you're trying to learn and speak
To learn the
French
language.
because they
Yeah.
just want to communicate in English, but you have to try and learn French and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I think it depends really and truly on your setting, really. And even in some administrative places, it's not everyone that understands French completely, or they understand but they have a hard time speaking it. So it's really a mixture.
Oh, that's interesting.
And do you think the language barrier has in any way caused you guys any obstacles in terms of progressing your studies?
I think when you first come, it it can be a huge barrier, especially with the first time when you enter into university and like you just finished studying French and they said, okay, you'll be studying in French and everything. Then when you get to university now, it's like maybe you hear some French and sometimes you can't really catch the French because it's your first time. And like the accents are different, the speeds of speaking are different. So sometimes a lot of things just fly over your head, like seriously. And then sometimes you would hear Arabic in the mix and then from there you're just completely lost, like what's happening, where am I, and these sort of things. And in such cases, like it's either you have to go to the professor and ask him some questions or advices on how to study his course, or you just try your best to make friends with the Moroccans. And it really depends on your school you're going to. Like Tivani school, the Moroccans, they are like very welcoming. They're so interested in like foreign students. I think because they're from like different type of like schools and families, and they're a bit more open. So all these things are factors.
Okay. And Tiffany and Lyric, you guys sound like you wanted to jump in there on that one as well. How was it learning in a foreign language?
Um, I would definitely say that that was one of my biggest challenges just because I came with the idea that I would be able to establish myself in class, be able to make friends, that kind of thing. I would be able to learn. And at first, that thing that she mentioned, where they teach, there will be points in time where the Arabic language is mixed in there. It
Yeah.
actually used to play with my head a little bit because I thought I was the one that couldn't understand French. I thought it was because of my whereas I've realized that it took me to actually realize that that's what was going on. So that was definitely something to adapt to. The other thing is the system. They you a little more, at least in the bigger faculties. Maybe as you were saying for Tiffany's faculties, I think the classes are smaller.
Yeah.
So you have more contact with your teachers and the bigger faculties where you have like 300, I think medicine faculties like six, 700, 500 per class. So it's a big like unless it's a TD. So for those faculties, you kind of have to rely on like a student representative for your group for certain information, and that's what's important the notices, and the notices are ridiculously important. It's like when you have an extra class, when an assignment is due,
Yeah.
when
Hmm.
changes and that kind of thing. And that group is exclusively in Arabic, and it's not the type of Arabic that you can take and translate on Google Translate. Like
I
the Dirija, they
yeah.
write it in their own dialect, so you can't get it translated. So
Wow.
after a while, you realize that you have to just start learning what certain things are. So like when there's no class, then McKinch means no
McKinch.
class, McKinch.
They'll be like,
Can
oh, Jack.
swallow.
Like, I'm professor.
Well, that's how you pick up the language,
Well,
right? You
exactly. So
start to
like,
associate certain things. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. But I know even that can be
but
a little bit
once you're
tiring.
already in, so exactly, once you're already in it, so you could just imagine you start your first you're missing classes because you didn't see the notification on a whole. Like you
Yeah.
understand?
Mm.
So the fact that it's not something that you can try and anticipate beforehand is after a while you begin to adapt. But it takes a little from you in the beginning, I can see.
It does, yeah.
Mhm.
So the
I think it's
OECS. Go on. Sorry, Tiffany, go on.
well, I was saying like what's interesting is like because we all go to different schools, like our experience like unique in like different ways because of the people of our school. So
Mhm.
like what Lyric was saying, like for schools that are like bigger, like the facts, and they have like a
Hmm.
500 to 1,000 people, and like they don't really get to be one on one. But in the case of my school, where like my class is like 10 of us, and it's like your homeroom,
Oh,
so like it's like your first family, and like they're so nice. At the end of the day, they just cannot speak French all day. Like they just cannot. They will not. They're not like francophones. It's not their innate
yeah.
thing. They don't want to be
Mm.
speaking French. They don't. They tell you they don't like
Mhm.
the French. Go
Mm.
to the canteen with me. Come, let's go. Come, Tivan, come. And then you get there, you're following them, and then they just switch, and you just stand up there like a big gong, and they're like, and like the joke amongst like the foreigners, like they're like 5 foreigners in my year. And like when you see they tell us, come, let's go. We just like we pretend to walk and we just escape. Because we just look stupid following them and then like, their own and we're tired of that. We don't want to go like because they themselves they have to learn the French and they don't like the French and it's hard for them to speak or think in French. Or like they can do it better than us because they've been learning
Yeah.
this
Yeah. Yeah.
language at the end of the day and
It
they
will be the same back home. It will be the
Yeah.
same back home. Eventually, people would revert back to English, so I can understand.
Yeah. Especially at I can
that's
It's
the
just
imagine,
way
that
they
for
especially at
us,
night.
it's frustrating sometimes.
Yeah.
Once you get to night and it's time to socialize and relax, the last thing you want to be doing is speaking in a second language. You feel like just speaking and being free
Mhm.
Exactly.
in your native language or
Yeah.
what
yeah.
you've grown up doing.
This is an interesting question here from Marika. Can you shed some light on what the accommodation arrangements have been like for you?
I see Lavinia smiling.
Wait, that's for me.
What's accommodation like?
What's the accommodation been
The
like? The
accommodation
accommodation.
arrangements. So,
Yes.
based on the scholarship, our first 3 years are supposed to be on at the international campus. It's the international student housing. That's only for students in Rabat. I'll get to the rest of it. But for students in Rabat, we're normally at that. It's like they have different pavilions that's separated between boys and girls, and
Mm-hmm.
each room you will have two per room. So I have a roommate. Tiffany isn't my roommate, but she's not here right now. So that's kind of how it goes, and I'm adapting to it again with sharing a room can get a little messy, a little traumatizing, but but yeah, that's what it. Otherwise, you have to kind of find your own external accommodation, which can be an
Mm.
apartment or whatnot. Our students, we have our first currently in Tangier. This year had a students that are studying in Tangier, and they were lucky enough to get this another campus that they have to pay for, but like the amenities and everything is really nice. It's the same basic concept of two
Yeah, great.
students per room. You can also opt for a private room, but obviously expensive, and then they have their
Cost
library
more.
and everything. So that's
Mm.
kind of how it is. We're always together. Before Corona, the student campus used to be really lively,
Ah,
kind of event, some kind of activity, a little soiree. There always used to be something, but because of Corona, and people were able to enter before as well, but because of
Mm.
kind of closed up and became quite
Mhm.
boring
Mhm.
and
You
empty.
mentioned you mentioned
So
you
yeah,
mentioned you mentioned
hopefully it'll
COVID there
begin
just
soon.
now as well. Were you guys there throughout that whole period of, well, the whole time during the whole COVID experience for the last 18 months, or were you at home, or did you go home and come back, or did you have to experience there? And what was it like?
We
We
were
were there. We were
there.
there from the start of COVID, and
We were lost inside.
I would say honestly, we had kind of a good experience. Like where we are is like a student campus, and they kind of in charge. We really did make an effort to protect, even help us in terms of like food and just so the entire thing was on lockdown, so we could not leave the premises. So they actually started bringing in like groceries for us. Like was it once a month?
Every 15
Ah,
days.
Every
cool.
15 days, like, and like there was a long line, and they would give us like a good amount of like milk, sugar,
Sugar,
rice.
eggs.
Like it was really nice of them and stuff like that. And like we just got outside because we would not have to leave City. We didn't leave City for like a while. We were just in there eating and sleeping.
Yeah, and when they realized that we were in for an extended period of time, I think they organized this bus to bring us down to the
To the supermarket
supermarket
and like give us a set
Yeah,
amount of
cool. Okay.
time to
so
like
that
go to the
wow,
grocery stores and stuff and then
come
hospitality.
back,
bring
that
us
kind of
back.
Ah, I
thing.
see.
And also,
Sound like you were well looked after.
it
Yeah.
wasn't like a real quarantine. Yeah, it wasn't really a quarantine because we lived together. So like it was really cool. We used to put the mats on the games nights, movie
Yeah.
nights, that kind of thing.
Ah,
So
cool.
it wasn't as bad as if probably you lived alone.
They also have
Yeah,
been providing
yeah.
us with masks from the minute the quarantine was. I haven't bought which is masks. Like they give us a supply of masks every 10 days.
Yeah.
Like
Okay,
everybody, you just sign your name and your room or whatever, and they give you a box.
return up.
Okay.
Oh, that's good.
And Lavinia, you recognize that whole
Oh, we forgot an
experience.
important part
Oh, go
that we
ahead.
Go
talked
on.
Go ahead.
about.
Cause my
They have us like baby.
it's not an
We
important
can't,
part.
we're no longer allowed to sleep out. And that's kind of been an inconvenience because before we would have organized little trips because we were foreigners living in
Hmm.
a beautiful we haven't up to the date we haven't been able to actually see the Sahara
The country.
and we
Yeah.
were literally
That's a
Okay,
living
shame.
next
next door.
so it's convenience these little trips and stuff because of that
Mhm.
rule that's been
Yeah.
implemented.
Yeah, so you're not able to get the full experience of living
Yeah.
in North
Yeah,
Africa, really.
that's hard.
Mm-hmm.
Well, perhaps Lavinia, you've been there for a
Yeah.
much longer time. You can share what some of that experience
Yeah. Where have you been?
has been. Where have you been? What have you seen?
Well, I think I've been to like all the major countries, all not countries, but all the major cities. Um,
Hmm.
I've been to Casablanca,
But
Marrakesh,
Hmm.
Agadir, Tanger. Like I've been to these places several times. I think I've been to the Sahara either twice or three times. I'm not quite sure, but I've
Hmm.
been there for a number of times. I've traveled around because I've met a lot of people. I've made some friends, and I have friends. I think in each ville, I can say that there's students. I have friends there, so I've been
Wow.
around quite a number of
But you
times.
you ventured outside of Morocco, other countries as well, Algeria.
Not as yet. I
Not
wanted
as
to
yet.
go to Algeria at one point,
Hmm.
and I was in the process of doing the visa, but because I was in the last year of my bachelor's,
Hmm.
I wasn't so successful because I didn't really have papers to show that I was going to come back,
Hmm.
So
Of
Hmm.
I
course.
haven't been
Okay.
there. I haven't been there. I haven't ventured out to any other African countries,
Hmm.
but I do have a lot of invitations and I have houses where I can go to now. So that's a
Wow.
plus. So if
That's
I go
good.
to
Yeah.
these places, I will have somewhere to stay. So, just building step by step. First, I have to get
Yeah.
the accommodations and so forth. So for that one, I have down packed. Now it's just a matter of going to these places.
Yeah.
And what's traveling like? Are you going by train, by air? Do you drive or anything like
No, I don't drive. I'm afraid of big trucks. Yes, so the driving is like on hold for some time now. I mostly travel by train.
Okay.
That's if I'm going to another town. I mostly travel
Hmm.
by train. I usually travel almost every weekend to another town because I live in Rabat, but I go to school in Kenitra. So I will travel by train on weekends, and most times I'll be like visiting some friends, and most times I actually go to church in Kenitra since like school is just there, so I'll just go over that kind of
Hmm.
thing. Within the city as well, like Rabat
Mm-hmm.
itself, um, usually taxis, small taxis, big taxis, the buses, all these
Mm-hmm.
kind of things. I've just recently picked up walking, so I tend to walk around a lot,
Oh wow.
that kind of thing. So those are the means of transport that I usually
Mm.
take.
And I know
Yeah.
folks will be wondering, as a young woman
And
on
it's
your
pretty
own, do you
affordable.
feel do you feel safe? Do you feel, hey, this is good, let's move around? Do you feel good about that?
Um, I would say in the beginning, not so much, but now is like I feel pretty safe here. Like I don't really find myself in situations as much as I used to before. I don't find myself getting aggressed or robbed or anything of that sort. And yeah, I just feel pretty safe. I think because I've been here for some time now,
Mm.
and like for the past few years, I've learned to really move around on my own and stuff like that. So
You
yeah,
said
And
I
I,
feel pretty
situations like
safe.
you did before.
Before, yeah, that was a little.
yeah,
What
yeah.
kind of
Yes.
situations have you found yourself in?
You said it
I'm
so
wondering.
casually.
You said she
I
just
don't get
we
robbed
yeah.
anymore.
We don't mismatch, right? But you said situations like before. So tell
Yeah.
us a situation.
Like everywhere
Probably
that
not
you have
more.
these creepy guys everywhere that would just walk behind you
Ooh.
and follow you wherever you go. Like, yeah, so situations like that,
Mm-hmm.
I
Okay.
don't find that happening to me now. And
Mm.
like I don't find myself getting robbed. I've been robbed once.
Oh
Yes,
wow.
Oh,
just
sorry to hear
once,
that.
and that was like many years ago. But
Was this
now
about
I
a
don't
bag
find my
snatching, or was it a bit more? How was that experience?
I think that experience to me was
Was it
very
on the bus?
traumatizing.
Must
Yeah,
have
of
been
course.
Um,
traumatic.
Mm.
Wow. Mm.
yeah, it was, and like I think because of that, like I avoided going out for like some months because I was
Oh.
just very traumatized by it. And I think after that happened, I just started going out with
Ooh, your sound has gone off there, Vin. I don't know if
Oh,
you can hear.
can you hear
Mm-hmm.
us? Ah, there.
No, it's not back. See if
Oh, again,
your
because
headset has
this is
unplugged or something.
important. You want to hear this?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Indeed. But what about while she's getting her sound back up, Tiffany and Larique? What about yourselves? You know, any
Like, can you guys
situations?
hear me now?
Ah,
Yes, we
yeah,
can
Yeah,
yeah.
now.
you're back.
Yes,
Yep.
Okay, I think my headset just lost its
came
life.
out. Yeah.
Okay. So, where was I? Yeah, so after some time, at first, I was a bit very fearful of going outside, especially
Mm-hmm.
alone. And even if I would go with
Understandable.
friends, I'll also be very fearful. And it took me some time to really get over it, really and truly. But then after some time, I just bounced back. And
Yeah,
I think that's one thing
you got to. Yeah.
about being in Morocco. You just have to learn how to bounce back because a lot of
Resilient.
things will
Hmm.
happen, but you have to learn how to bounce back and continue
Yep.
because you came here for a reason and just keep going on that kind of thing. So, yeah, so those are the situations that
Mm.
I've had before that I don't really have now. And
Mm.
just like when I go out, I try my best to like walk around like if I know where I'm going.
Okay.
Like I know where I'm going,
Yeah.
I know what I'm
Don't look
doing,
unsure. That's
those
a good
kind of
tip, actually.
things.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm a bit more careful when I'm going out. I don't walk with my headphones. I can afford to walk with my phone now, because I know my phone, nobody will want it. So that's a plus to me.
And have you done
Yeah.
anything like change the way you dress or anything to blend in? Have you done anything like that?
Yes, yes, I had to learn how to dress a bit more conservative, cover my chest some more, I think what we call decent back home. Because when I came, I thought I was decent. Like in my head, like I'm dressing decent. Like
You
if you
seem
should go
decent.
back home and you see how we actually dress, like you wouldn't say that I'm not decent. But I thought I was decent. But like when I realized, like for them culturally, it wasn't. Like I really had to change some of the way I dress. Um, like in terms of, especially in tops, like being conscious of the fact that, okay, let me just cover up. I have to cover up. It's a way of protecting myself. As
Yeah.
sad as it is, it's a way of me protecting myself and so forth. So I've
Mm-hmm.
learned how to be
Reality.
a lot more conservative in my dressing,
Mm-hmm.
and certain things
Wow.
I think now I feel uncomfortable dressing the way I used to dress. I
Oh,
just
wow.
feel
That's
like, if okay,
interesting.
no, this is
Yeah,
too much.
that's interesting. Go ahead, Mark. You were gonna ask some stuff
No,
as
no,
well.
I wanted to hear same experience from the others. I was just waiting for the Fania to finish.
Oh, okay. She's stuck a bit, so you
Yeah.
can go ahead.
Um, so there has been similar experiences just in the past couple of months where two students on separate occasions were pickpocketed, I could say, and it was in the same area, I think in the Medina. It depends on the area that you're in that you have to be careful of these kinds of
Just be
things. So in
careful.
the crowded areas like the Medina, or when going on the public bus,
Mm.
it's been a thing where like people would just like slip their hands into your bag. So like my roommate ended up losing her phone. Another student ended up losing her wallet. So it
Yeah.
does exist, and it's something that we always, especially for our new students, tell them to be wary of. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, and the part that she mentioned, where those following you. Like in my
Mm.
first year, it was a bit traumatic as well because I would be
Oh.
walking to class, and the thing is, like the place that my faculty is, I kind of have to like of the building to get to the entrance, and like from that area, I've had multiple occasions where the person will literally walk into the faculty with me, like saying, "Can I have your number? Can I have your number?" Like that kind of thing. And you're saying no, and they're asking you like why, or like they like it's a case where it took
Mm.
a while for me to kind of get used to it and realize that that's just kind of how I could say they chat the girls. It's a
Mm.
lot and persistent. So
Mm.
even like when we go out, like we just be walking like we in Agdal, it's like the area where there's the mall, there's stores and that kind of thing. We'd be walking around there, and people would literally slow down the vehicle. So you're walking and the vehicle is at a snail rate going alongside.
Mm. Mm.
Ah,
So like yeah,
You
these
gotta
are
be
things
careful.
that took a little while to yeah, you have to be really careful
Wow.
with it. And
Yeah.
in a way, to be able to differentiate when the situation is very serious and when like sadly to say they're just
Yeah. And I
Yeah.
understand
like
what you mean.
Yeah.
trying, like when
so
it's
if you
not
chat
something
with
that you need to actually be afraid of for your safety.
Mm.
with local females, what's their sort of way of dealing with those situations? And have you sort of learned anything or discussed that with local women as well?
um Man, I would say that they don't become very, very close to them. And like back home, I would be able to have like a guy friend and we go out and we do that kind of thing. We talk off. casually. Like that's just my friend. You wouldn't expect anything out of it. But here, I guess it's because of the conservative culture. It's not very normal for them to be for a guy and a that close. So like it's something that's kind of I could say that's the reason why I haven't made as many local friends. I've become friends with girls, but not many of the because they interpret it as like interest. You understand? Like
It's
you
a,
have to be really careful. Like if you talk to them too often, it's kind of like that. I'm
do
still
you get
actually trying to adapt and like find my way around it.
what about social media, and how is that dealt with? Do you get people trying to come after you on social media as well if they can't speak to you in person and that type of thing? How does that work?
The most that I get is like in our the same class group that I was talking about. Like some random people might come and say, "Salut, can I get to know?" But I mean, it's never been anything comfortable. I would say it's normal.
When things
Yeah.
like that happen with guys and stuff in the cars, is it that because they can tell or that you are different, so maybe they are trying something because you're different, or not necessarily?
Yeah, I could say that.
Yeah.
I mean, generally Morocco, like it's kind of common knowledge. Like Morocco is kind of notorious for like the harassment of women. Like even the locals saying, like my friends, where like the guys bother them, they stare at them, they always staring at them, they look at them on the trains, they put them in the same ways. But I would say that they tend to sexualize black a lot more to like because they expect like okay they black so like they're not Muslim so that means they're down for certain things or like they're a little more wild or they
Okay.
more interested or a little more loose like that's how I think they
they
think.
like to phrase it as being more open-minded.
Mm-mm.
Like that's like the red flag.
That's
Yeah.
a big red flag.
Open-minded, like
Interesting.
conversation has because it normally means like they're referring to something else.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they're
yeah,
inferring
yeah.
something.
Of
No,
course.
no,
Yeah.
and you got to be
These are
careful there.
Just wanted to touch on this question from Angela about work and work permits and immigration status. Wonder if you've got any comments on that actually.
That's Lavanya because the other guy's a student.
Yeah.
So
Students. Yeah.
Can you hear us, Lavanya?
Yeah.
I've been if
Oh,
no,
Oh,
no,
we
we
lost the
can't.
sound again.
We can't
no
read us
sound.
herself.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, hopefully she comes back and we can talk
Okay.
about that question.
Yeah,
I think I can answer a little bit.
yeah. Go
Yeah.
ahead.
Yeah, go
Sorry,
ahead.
my mic was
Oh,
off.
okay.
Oh, there she is. Go ahead.
Either of you can take it.
I
It's
think
fine.
for
Go ahead.
work life, it's very different and it's very dependent. The point is there's not a lot of work for foreigners
Okay.
directly. There are few institutions that accept foreigners. I know Morocco has a tight bond with Senegal. So Senegalese, they are allowed to work here. They easily
Mm-hmm.
get work permits to work here. Also, there are cases where foreign students or foreigners have been working in like private institutions, like financial institutions here. I have one friend, he's from another country, he's from Ghana, and after his studies, he was hired by a company. So presently, he's working here. And you find such cases, but they're quite rare. They're not very it's not something you see or hear every day per se. Um, so that's that one. I know there are few like centers, like where there's language centers that foreigners can work there because it's a language center and it's a private company per se that wasn't really started by Moroccans, but maybe like Europeans or Americans. So that one allows foreigners to come and work here. And it
Mm-hmm.
really depends on your country, really and truly. We find that for Europeans, they have an easier way of working here than, let's say, sub-Saharan Africans or so forth. So I think Europeans and Americans have it a bit easier when it comes to work here. In terms of in terms of immigration status, you find that you have a lot of migrants passing through Morocco in order to pass over to Europe,
Okay.
going to
Portugal.
greener pastures
Okay.
and stuff like that.
Portugal and stuff. Yeah.
And like you really find a lot of them just passing through. In terms of getting citizenship here, I think it's mostly depending on marriage, like if you're willing to marry a Moroccan or something like that. And also in doing that, becoming um, and beginning to practice the religion of Islam. Yeah, as well. Becoming a Muslim, sorry. So all that is inside their citizenship package in terms of immigration and stuff like that.
Okay.
Okay.
And Larry, you wanted to add something to that?
No, she would have answered better than me. I was just mentioning
Okay.
part of our school programs. Like sometimes we're allowed to get little internships and that kind of thing for the purpose of our program. More than that, like for a permanent employment, I would not have.
Okay.
Oh, fantastic.
So looking towards the OECS and home actually, and what is the change that you guys would like to see on the back of your studies when you're finished, and what do you want to go on to achieve?
Okay, so I will begin. Actually, in my move here, I've always interest in diplomacy and that kind of thing to establish these partnerships where my vision is that it's not just the partnerships where like foreign investments in our countries and that kind of thing, where like our nationals get opportunities externally. That is why like I have also passionate about our student organization because I feel like it's that opportunity to establish our presence and to create the necessary networks. So
Oh.
interesting and actually it's important for me to add the involvement of the OECS embassy here. They've been very supportive of our organization.
Yeah, great.
We've been offered certain sponsorships. Like considering that we are a fairly new organization and are still in the process of getting established, I feel like we've still been taken quite seriously. So that's been really encouraging. When it comes to sponsorship, have have meetings with the OECS embassy's team at least 3 times a year, that kind of thing, just to keep updates and to keep that community. At the end of the day, they're the ones that really represent and lobby on our behalf. So I would say that the kind of change that I would like to see back home is more of those effective cooperations where our people actually get that opportunity. Because I've seen like with the Alliance Française and these kinds of things, you see a lot of French interns for. So there will be Alliance Française and there's a bunch of French interns working there, but they're from France or at least from Martinique. But I want to see more of these opportunities where you see more Caribbean people and being able to get a global platform, I would say.
It was very visionary.
Very much so.
And Tiffany, what about yourself? Studying architecture, what do you think you're going to be doing back home if you do go back to St. Lucia? You might have other ideas.
Honestly, what I always think about, I mean, I've only begun to think about it in that way since I've come here. And what I've realized is like in the Caribbean, we don't really venture out. The style of architecture, the technology used is just like it's just kind of basic. It's just the same kind of things. Like we just fit into like the box of what we always do.
Yeah.
Generally, since I've come here and like people always ask about St. Lucia or my profs and stuff like that for projects, they ask me to do something from your country, but there's nothing really, there's no really something that like I can take and show them that like is really like to us, that
That's
really belongs to
fascinating.
us.
Yeah.
So what I really would love to carry over is using architecture as more of an art and less of just like functionality and building a house to build a house, but more of like starting to find like what we can do as our what we can develop like in St. Lucia as our own type of architecture, our own way of
Fabulous.
Or
doing things
expression.
that like
I like
only
that.
St.
I
Lucia does it
feel
like that.
Fabulous.
Yeah,
Yeah, there's
expression
a big
essentially.
movement around that. Yeah.
And yeah, that's primarily, and being here, like I worried at first because the type of what I'm learning here is like architecture styles for Europe. So we're not learning any pitched roofs or gutter like roads and stuff like that. We're learning stuff that is used in Europe, and I was a little worried because I'm like, okay, how am I going to apply that when I go back? But now that I think about it, I feel like because I'm learning the stuff that is used in Europe, I can be even more equipped when I go back to kind of like merge the two of them, merge what we do at
Yeah. This is
is in the
fabulous,
more
man.
developed countries and stuff
Yeah.
like that. So that's essentially what I'm hoping. And
Yeah.
also I would love if we could kind of like start to become a little more bilingual. The Creole and stuff like that. It really helped me when I was learning French here. And I feel like I know Creole because I'm from the south of St. Lucia, and like
Mhm.
everyone, my grandparents that. So like it really helped me with the French. I feel like a lot of young people that are St. Lucians, they don't really speak Creole, and it's kind of a dying language. And coming to Morocco, the way that so many people speak other
yeah,
languages
their
is just
dialects.
admirable, and it's very useful. And I would love if like going back home we could try to like grab hold of the little Creole we have, push that so
I
that
like
we
that.
can we can have like a second language.
Mhm.
I really identify with that, because
Yeah.
I always remember when I was a student here in the UK, one of the things that you realize is that how we obviously we adapt to everything. So we as West Indian people would say we adapt to speaking slightly differently so that British people and other people can understand this and what's not. But one of the things that I realize is that none of my international friends coming from Mexico or India or different places, they've been doing
Adapting.
that.
No.
They're doing that. What? But it was an appreciation for themselves, their accents, their language, their dialects, and what's not. And I tell you the truth, I probably speak even more Bajan dialect now than ever before, because that, and this is a
Yeah.
while back I talked
Ah,
about, that really influenced me in an
Yeah.
appreciation that my dialect is not bad English.
No.
My dialect is my dialect.
It's me. It's
And
who
it
we
is
are.
mine. It is me.
Absolutely.
And I can talk it as much as I want.
Exactly.
Who can understand.
It-
But obviously sometimes I will slow it down a little bit to make sure people understand me. But I will speak my dialect and use it whenever I want.
There's nothing that gives me more delight than when somebody come up to me and say, "You're a Bajan."
Ex- exactly.
Yeah, yeah. It's fine.
Exactly.
You weren't in on the question, Lavinia, before we start. We were talking about where you're going to go with what you've studied and how do you want that to influence and shape what's happening at home.
Um, well, I think since I've started financial engineering,
Mhm.
um, I think my perspective on things has changed a lot because
Mm.
I'm a natural science student. I first started out in science, biology,
Mhm.
physics, chemistry. I did a master's in medical biotechnology. And one thing I realized was my first year in medical biotechnology, I went back home for vacation and I just wanted to do an internship anywhere, but the problem was that I couldn't really find a place where I would do internship in a way where I would apply what I've learned. And I really realized, like, just going back home, is that back in the Caribbean, we're lacking a lot when it comes to scientific technologies and so forth.
Mm.
I studied a lot in genomics, that's like DNA, studying the DNA of humans, the DNA of bacteria, and
Genomes and stuff.
also
Yeah.
looking at how bacteria are treated and depending on the different strands of bacteria, and a certain point in a bacteria where you can aim and target in order to treat the bacteria. I realized back home we don't really and truly study these type of things. And I was talking to a friend a few months ago, I think it was last year or something, and he was doing a school fair going around with science. And one thing he said is like, people are not interested in science anymore, you know?
Mm,
And I think it's because of how we've been taught science
mm,
and what we grew up learning about science, just the basic things, integrated science, photosynthesis, osmosis, these kind of things. And in
Yeah.
terms of biology, we look at the plants, we look at the animals, but we don't really see beyond that because there's such
yeah.
a whole aspect beyond that. And
Mm,
for a place like the Caribbean that is so rich in natural resources, that is so rich in terms of different floras and different faunas and different, so many different things. There's so many things that we can use to treat diseases and so forth. But it's just that we do not have the means of really doing experiments or doing researches and so forth,
Mm.
and just doing things that are quite innovative.
yeah.
So I think for me, that was something that was like a huge passion for me. But then one thing I realized, I was speaking to one of my mentors here, and one thing he told me was that science is very interesting and we need it. But at the same time, at the top of science, there's business. And if we don't understand the business part and just the science part, you won't go so far. So I think
Good
that's one
point.
thing that
True.
really motivated me to get into financial engineering, looking
Okay.
at investments, doing business plans and all these kind of things, studying investments and markets and like different target areas and all these sorts of things. So it has really opened up my eyes in terms of really marketing and of really strategizing um,
Hmm.
what I really want to see happen back home in the Caribbean, because I think
Mm.
we're really lacking and we are really lagging behind. And for nations that have been independent for a number of years, I
Wow.
think we should have been far ahead
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
in terms of certain things, you know. So those are some of the things that I'm really looking at, and really looking at the education system in terms of science. Like, what are we teaching the kids when it comes to science? Is
Yeah.
it just integrated science? Is it just velocity when it comes to physics? Is it just balancing equations when it comes to chemistry? There's like a lot more. And in terms of genomics, in terms of programming, like I think at this point I'm just very high on computer programming and stuff, like learning as much as I can because
Wow.
it's like all over. I had to do it when I was studying
Mm-hmm.
biotech, I had to learn programming and all these sorts of things. And now when I'm doing finance, I still have to learn it. But like I realized that I struggled with it because I didn't have that foundation when it
Mm,
came to like high
Problem
school
yeah.
solving.
and so forth. And I think these are things that can be implemented within our high school system and just really like enhance our education system, not only in aspects of science, but in terms of language learning, in terms of business, finance, and all these sorts of things, just really enhancing it.
Yeah.
I think we
Truly.
have a lot of theory back home, but in terms of like the
But
practical
when
side
doing
of
the
things,
application,
like
Yeah,
we're
Hmm.
really lacking.
we learn
And
about
life
things,
is
but we
very
don't
Yeah.
learn to use
practical.
them.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's just
So
it.
true.
Yeah.
So
mm.
true.
I've not
Well,
heard
look,
that term financial engineering before. That's yeah. That's is that sort of I'm imagining that sort of using engineering methods to sort of plan your finances and your financial
Yes, in some,
structures and so on.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That's basically it. And also in terms of like when we look at mortgages, interest rates, how do we
Oh, we stuck there for a second.
mm,
We're
Oh,
gonna come back.
she was on a roll there. I was
she
enjoying
was.
Yeah.
listening to that.
Okay.
She was on a roll. I enjoyed that. But look, so as we coming to the end, obviously. We could go on talking for another few hours, to be honest with you, because I enjoy listening about what you guys are going through and what you're doing out there as well, Tiffany and Rick. So, one thing, are you going to make sure you learn Arabic before you leave? That's a question I want to know.
It's a no for me.
Oh, one saying yes and one saying no.
The moment is that we
Yeah,
have a
that's fair.
different.
That's fair. You got a lot of things on your plate.
It's a lot easier said than done. It's a
Mm,
because the language is quite difficult in itself to learn, and
Okay.
also the fact that they don't
They
really.
standard Arabic or Darija?
Yeah,
Which one? Like,
the region, because the people use the region, which is like our Creole language.
Mhm.
So I don't know where else other than in Morocco
That would be
make
used.
use of it
Yeah.
as compared to if we actually learn Arabic. Both
Arabic,
languages are just
yes.
extremely hard. What I, because in my first right, but it was quite challenging to master both languages at the same time. It really was whilst pursuing
Yeah, true.
my studies.
Your studies,
So
yeah. Focus
it's
on the
a little, I
French.
had to kind of focus on French. And a lot of the students that actually arrive here have no background in French. Like they just do the initial year of study of like initial language year, and then they go straight into the university. So like in university, we're still in the process of really
Of
learning
learn.
French,
Yeah.
increasing
Right.
that and everything.
Yeah.
So
And do you sort of
hopefully,
lean on each
but
other in that
for me,
in the OECS? Do you lean on each other to to sort of study French together and, as well, or is it more for social?
do we do we
we speak so
really
much
we're not
English.
talking when we
You probably revert to English when you get
it's
together. Yeah.
that's why outside, like, please,
Yeah,
please.
it's with our external friends, I
Yeah,
would say,
we had. I don't think we've ever.
which has been a
Yeah,
very bad day.
Yeah.
but it's not bad. You need the balance. I had a little bit of
Yeah, I was going to say
experience as
for me.
well in a
Yeah,
in
exactly, exactly. That's why I
having
want
to
them
pick
to
up
be
another
comfortable
language.
and just
Yeah,
be like,
Always with
Yeah.
each other. Remember the fact that we actually live together, so like we
True.
speak
Yeah.
more
And
English than we would
you
be
just
of course.
yeah,
friends.
and you just want to relax when you're home too. You just want
Yeah.
to be like, wow,
we
be
need
Sure.
more
home,
French on a day.
be just
Yeah,
chilling.
I
it
was speak more French when
depends.
I go to school.
Mhm.
Yeah,
So what I would say as we bring it home to you guys is, listen, you are tremendously inspiring. You
Indeed.
really are. You know,
Indeed.
and not just inspiring. You're really
Oh,
courageous.
thank
You
you.
you've taken on a big project. You've left home. You've gone out there, and you're finding your way. Keep going, okay? Because these journeys do get really tough, but you got to keep going and keep fighting. You're doing a fabulous job. What would you guys want to say to anybody who's at home who might be thinking of doing
Thinking
similar?
about it.
Yeah.
Morocco
What's
or
your
anywhere
words of
else.
inspiration to them?
Yeah.
Me, it's kind of how I've been able to continue to motivate myself. I would say like don't give up on yourself. Um, to me saying like asking questions like how difficult is it to access the program, like they before even being accepted they kind of set themselves that they don't even know if they have the capacity to do it. So what I would say is to like take advantage of the opportunity, because yes, what you need to really do, anticipate the challenge, but still take it on in such a way that you can have that opportunity to prove to yourself that you are in fact achieving it. And that's what's been able to kind of push me, possibly the other girls as well, because the first year, especially when learning in a first year, even towards the second year, can be extremely challenging. But it does get better as soon as you can kind of get over that hurdle. So I would say to like give yourself time to develop, give yourself time to grow into it, so that you can actually prove to yourself that you're capable.
Thanks for that, lyric.
Brilliant.
Tiffany?
Honestly, I'm not a really inspirational, motivational.
You are,
now is
trust
your
me.
moment. You
Trust
can be a
me.
motivational
I feel
speaker.
like
You
Everything that
have
you
the
tell us
fire
today
within you.
tells me that you are. So come on.
You got this.
I feel like
Exactly,
at the
you
end of the
do.
day, the only thing that kind of really motivates me is just like the thought of, okay, like whatever I'm doing, that's how hard it is. Somebody probably had it worse, or somebody probably, somebody did it already before. Like I'm not the first person attempting anything. at any point in time, and like we are of like it being possible. So I feel like the more of us that come over, that we'll be stronger in numbers, and like our lives and the way we live, anything is possible. I never thought that I'll be here in like 2018, and here I am surviving and speaking. And I feel like they are yet at this story, and like whoever you are that's interested, like 100%, you can do it. You can do it.
I feel inspired already.
Yeah, I love it.
So maybe you are an inspirational speaker.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
You got this.
You are. I mean, and you just drawing your experience, and trust me, that's very inspiring. Very inspiring to listen
that's
to.
where it is.
Yep.
Speak with what you know.
Just drawing your experience, because I can tell you, not the furthest thing from my mind would have been, hey, let me go to Morocco. I feel like I take the easy way out now going to England. But I feel, and that's the case. But you ladies have done it. Hopefully, we can get Lavanya back in as well. She's having some connectivity issues. But you guys have done it, and it's a real inspiration for other people. Learn another language, a completely different culture. One where you've gone into, and there wasn't like a community of us West Indian people there that you can tap into. You kind of created it yourself, and trust me, that's a lot to be applauded. I really applaud you ladies for that. That's amazing. I think you're doing really, really, really well, and you're inspiring loads of people by just doing this today. So thank you for joining us. It's been fantastic having you. And guys in the chat, let them know how great they have been today as well, to come and share their experiences as well. And now we know if anyone wants to go to Morocco, hey, we got some people we can tap into. There as well.
We know some people up there.
Exactly. We know some people. Yeah, the best thing is we always like, who live out there we could go by. So now we know people. So now we know people. So it's been fantastic having you in. So thank you so much for that, Tiffany and Lyric.
Guys, I just got a message from Lavi. She said that she's having like some technical difficulties and she's unable to go back.
Okay.
So she
I saw that.
apologies, and she's very sorry for the inconvenience.
No, that's fine. That's fine. We figured that was the case, and that's completely understandable. But look, guys, thank you so much for joining us today. It's been an absolute pleasure having you and hearing your experiences and just learning from everything that you guys are experiencing there in Morocco. So thanks a lot for joining us.
Keep going.
Yeah.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
No, you're welcome. You're welcome.
Anytime.
We really.
Sorry about that. Go ahead again.
You shut the door and open it back.
Yeah. I hope you guys had a good time having a chat with us.
Yeah, we did.
Excellent. All right. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was a good conversation. I like
Yeah.
it.
Loved it.
So
really.
Here's a question now.
Which is?
In a few years, your children come and
Yeah.
say, they don't even get it. Your children turned up. Look, Daddy, are you off to Morocco?
Yeah.
Now that you've seen this, what are you thinking? How are you feeling?
I come and drop she off. I go and drop her off and spend a few months close by. Because I think that was one of the things.
Don't be any tents.
Yeah. I live over here. I live by Hotel Cross for the school. I be checking and making sure that she are. Because I think the thing that's really impressive about the guys leaving St. Lucia and Antigua and Barbuda, I know there's some Dominicans and stuff there as well. They just left and went.
Yeah.
And they're doing undergrad, so they're young.
Yeah.
It wasn't no parents coming to drop off and all that kind of stuff and making sure you're all right.
That's
which
big.
we will all be doing right here. We children probably go to university here in the UK, and we can be dropping off. I bet.
Yeah.
And these guys just hop on the plane and left. And then the courage of the parents as well to trust what they've instilled in the kids in their children to go. That's just amazing. Just really amazing.
And I love their ambition. I love what they're thinking about doing for the Caribbean, because that's the thing that really kind of stuck with me. You know, they're out there absorbing and learning and dealing with all the challenges, but they're thinking about the application of this back home and what they would like to change back home. I really love that, and I just admire their courage. I think it takes so much to do that. You know.
And it's really and that's true. The thing that I always think about sometimes though is that how, we always have young people that go out and do these great things, absorb, learn. But then when they get back home, the weight of the way how these structures are just weigh on them, and
No space.
they're not allowed to express
Yeah.
these new things
Yeah.
that they've just learned. Like, Tiffany's doing her architecture and stuff, and she's observing different ways of doing things. She's seeing different architectures, not just in her course, but obviously they're in Morocco as well. When she gets home to St. Lucia, will she be allowed to express that? And I
I
think
think this is all
that's
the
the
challenge.
case.
But in their case, it feels as though maybe things have changed quite a bit from let's say our time, right? It feels as though they've left home already with that fire burning, especially Lyric. She seemed that she was talking already about diplomacy, right?
Yeah.
And it seemed to be something that she was involved in. So maybe it comes down to having to leave already with that intent, but also being realistic about what is it that I'm going to be able to do. What sometimes it's seed planting,
Yeah.
right? And other times it's going to be working to build something fresh and new alongside what's there. But I like the way they speak.
Yeah.
I
Very
like it,
encouraged
man.
by that. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yes,
So
yes.
the question will come
I
at some
still,
point. You
I
know.
still,
But
although I must say, my daughter has been saying a few months ago that she wants to go to South Korea
wow.
to study.
Okay.
Exactly. Philip. You see what Philip just meant? I was like,
Listen,
where?
Interesting.
Now that I see how they play games out there after watching Squid Game, that is a no.
If I would tell my daughter, as long as you do the dishes first, then
So you trying to change your mind?
do all the dishes, all.
No, but there's been a lot of research going into schools in South Korea in this household. So yes.
Okay.
So that was a good conversation to listen to. That's why I asked the question around the parents. When you say, "Mom, am I going to Morocco?" Huh? Because there's a perception, and we get a lot of media from the West about North African countries, Muslim countries, that kind of stuff. So there's already a built-in fear that's going to be there. But impressively, they're there. So the parents also said, "Go."
Yeah.
boy,
You know,
it's coming your way. That's all I can say. And
It's
not,
coming
it's,
my way.
and it's not easy.
Indeed. Well, that was a fantastic conversation.
It was
and
great.
I thank you guys
Enjoyed
for
it.
Lavinia, Lyric, and Tiffany as well for stopping by. And guys, thank you guys for staying with us as well. As usual, hit share so that other people can be part of that conversation. You guys had the advantage of being live and asking questions and what's not, but others can watch it as well, on the playback. But thank you for staying with us. As usual, we don't take it for granted that you spend your Sunday afternoons with us or Sunday evenings, wherever you are, if you're here in Europe as well. But thank you so much. And as usual, until next time. Good stuff.
Yeah, man.
I like that. That was
Yep.
real.
Morocco.
Morocco.